front to back, left to right. Just allow yourself to find a position that's not rigid, not stuck, but that's straight, that's held with strength, vitality, awareness. And let it be a position in which the flow of the breath can flow freely. And just allow yourself to take a moment and really arrive. Our bodies have gotten here by planes and boats and cars. But is our awareness here as well? Have we unpacked it yet from the suitcase? Did it even travel with us from wherever we started? Just take a moment and notice, where is your awareness? Where is your presence? Is it still back at home with unfinished business? Is it somewhere in a future that may or may not arise in the way that you're thinking about it? Is it in this moment, but somewhere else on the globe? Just notice where it is and then consciously bring it right here. Fortunately, the awareness doesn't need a ticket or a visa. Just the power of attention and intention. Just bring it right here to this very moment, to this very breath. And just arrive. Know there's nothing else you should be doing in this moment. Nowhere else you're supposed to be. Right here, right now, is exactly perfect. Just allow yourself to be here in this moment for just a moment without trying to change it, without disappearing on yourself into the past or the future or some other spot on earth at this moment. Just stay right here, right now. And allow that awareness to anchor in the breath. It's not pranayama. We're not working with the breath. We're just using the breath as a magnet for the awareness. So just feel the awareness pulling into the breath the way that iron filings pull toward a magnet. Wherever your focus may be, your attention may be, just feel it automatically pulling into the breath. And just allow that awareness to merge into the breath as it flows in and flows out. No judgment, no stories, no labeling, just spacious awareness. As I'm going to make a variety of statements, short statements, I'll make a statement and then I'll pause. And in the pause, I want you to really anchor your awareness in that statement. Make sure that it feels right to you. Allow a kind of inner yes to arise from within you. And the first statement is very simple. I am not the clothes I'm wearing. And just allow yourself to acknowledge that. It should be simple and easy. We know that we change clothes, but we don't disappear. I am not the clothes I'm wearing. I am not my skin beneath the clothes. Allow that to sink in. Let it feel true for you. We know that our skin cells slough off every few days. Maybe faster if we get sunburned and we peel. But we don't cease to exist. The nature of ourselves does not change as our skin cells regenerate. I am not the skin. I am not my blood flowing beneath and through the skin, through the body. I am not the blood. And again, just drop into that as a statement of truth. We know that we're not our blood. We get injured and bleed, but we don't cease to exist. We donate blood, maybe even get a blood transfusion. But who we are does not wax or wane with our blood donations or transfusions. I am not my blood. my organs, not my kidneys, my liver, my stomach, my spleen. I am not those organs. Really allow yourself to get an inner an inner acknowledgement. We know that, of course, because we can get organ transplants. Many of us have had various organs removed, an appendix, a gallbladder. We don't cease to exist. The nature of who we are does not change with a kidney donation or receiving a kidney. And of course, the cells of our organs regenerate every 7 or 8 years. But there's no shift in who we are. There's no aspect of us that is anchored in the cells of my liver or the cells of my spleen. I am not my organs. I am not the chemicals flowing through my brain. I am not serotonin. I am not dopamine. I am not norepinephrine. I am not a chemical being secreted in my brain or being secreted by my adrenal glands. I'm not a chemical. Allow that inner acknowledgement, the inner to come. As we realize that, of course, these chemicals come and go, they're secreted, then they're absorbed. They're produced, they dissipate. But the nature of who I am doesn't change. My presence or absence doesn't change with the presence or absence of these various chemicals flowing through my bloodstream or into the synapses in my brain. I am not a neurotransmitter. I am not a hormone. I am not a chemical. I am not an electrical impulse. Who I am is not the electricity that is flowing down an axon in a neuron in my brain. Because I was here before the electrical impulse. And I will be here after the electrical impulse. The nature of myself does not rise or fall with the different electrical impulses flowing through my brain. I am not an electrical impulse. Let it really sink in and get an inner sense of yeah, an inner acknowledgement. I am not my thoughts, my emotions, my memories. We've just agreed that we are not chemicals or electricity. And every thought, every emotion, every memory is a pattern of electrical and chemical behavior in the brain. And if I am not the electricity, if I am not the chemistry, if I am not the literal gray matter or white matter of my brain, then I am not my thoughts, my emotions, my memories. Take a moment as this is getting more subtle and really wait till you get that inner yeah. Let it really resonate within you. Another way to realize that you're not those thoughts or emotions is our thoughts keep changing. If you were your thought and you disappeared at the end of each thought, then who would be there to think the next thought? Who is there in deep sleep? Who is there when you're in anesthesia? Who is there in those precious meditative moments when we reach that thoughtless state? If we are our thoughts, then we would cease to exist in those moments. So really allow that to sink in. I am not my thoughts, my emotions, my memories. Different chemicals, drugs, alcohol, brain stimulation can cause a variety of impacts on our emotional state, on our memory. But it doesn't change the nature of who we are. I am not my thoughts, my emotions, my memories. And allow yourself for just a few moments to sit in that spaciousness of all of that you are not. And if any thought arises or sensation arises or memory arises, just meet it with neti, neti, not this, not this. I am not this sensation. I am not this thought. And then allow yourself to just gently return to that experience of spacious awareness. Slowly and gently, bring the palms of your hands together in namaste at chest level. And gently rub the palms of your hands against each other. Press the palms of your hands against your closed eyes. And slowly lower the hands and open your eyes. Welcome. It's such a joy to be together, such a blessing to be together. And especially to be together as we share about how to get free. How do we get free? You know, most of us are living in some kind of jail within us. And yet we are the ones who have put ourselves there. It's so easy and so instinctive to blame someone, something out there. And of course, there's no shortage of scapegoats. There's so many people who are acting in certain ways, so many things that are happening in the world that are problematic. And it's so easy to point our fingers and say, because of this, because of that, because of you, I am unable to be happy, peaceful, fulfilled, one with the divine, whatever our internal goal is. I'm unable to have it because of this. And what I really hope for us all to come to over the next couple of days is the awareness that, it's in my hands. That doesn't mean it's easy. It doesn't mean you're always going to remember. It doesn't mean that you're never going to feel upset about something and that instantaneously all of your anger is going to disappear and never return and that you'll never get upset at anybody again. We're still here in these human bodies with human experiences and going through our karmic incarnations. But what it means is that we remember that, the key to my jail cell is actually in my hands. And so it gives us the direction to remember to go back into, and it gives us the tools to get that key and unlock the door. Because as long as I spend my life looking outward for the key to open that which I am stuck in, I stay stuck. One of my favorite teachings from the Vedas and then the Upanishads is a very simple teaching that says, Man eva manushyanam karanam bandha mokshaya. And it just says the mind. The mind is the key. It's the key to your bondage. It's the key to your freedom. Wherever you are in life, it is because of your mind, which is not to lay blame. It's actually incredibly empowering. A lot of times it feels like, oh my God, so it's my fault. No, it's not a fault. It's a power. If I really am dependent upon someone else, then I'm at their mercy. But if it's up to my mind, I can change my mind. One time I was driving somewhere in the US, I can't remember, and driving by a church. And so many of the churches in America have these beautiful signs on their front lawns. And sometimes they're very specific only to people of the Christian faith, but sometimes they're much more universal. And this was one that said, watch your thoughts and you will see the future. I thought, wow, yeah, watch your thoughts and you will see the future. In Vedanta, there are some very core teachings, and one of them is the teaching of the snake and the rope, right? That teaching of this panic, this fear of seeing this thing on the ground, and oh my God, it's a snake. Oh my God, I'm, it's gonna bite me. I'm gonna die. This inner terror, and then the awareness that it's actually just a rope. And it's not that once you realize it's a rope, you've got a lot of work to do to overcome the fear. It's pretty instantaneous. It's not like there's lingering aspects of fear. Once you realize it's just a rope, the fear goes. And once we realize that actually who we are is not a product of, dependent upon, aspects of the body, aspects of other people's projections, aspects of our history, aspects of our chemistry and electricity in the brain, etc. It gives us this, that was just a rope experience. And last night I shared a bit about my journey. And again, I won't go into too much of the details. I'm certainly happy to answer questions if there are specific pieces that anybody has any question on. I just don't want to take up too much time with it. But for me, on this level, a huge turning point was at a moment of standing in the waters of Ganga, where my guru had sent me to let go of anger and pain. Thank you so much. I had experienced, as I mentioned last night, in the midst of great blessings and great gifts and great opportunity, also great trauma and struggle and suffering. And when I met my guru at 25 and spoke to him about the fear that I was living with, he said to me, you fear because you don't trust. And he said, I want you to go and stand in Ganga, and I want you to let go of your pain, of your anger, into Ganga. And as I did that, in addition to the freedom that arises in forgiveness, which is a critical critical, non-negotiable aspect of a spiritual path. If anybody thinks that they're going to attain union with the divine, attain freedom, attain moksha, attain self-realization, attain anything worth having while holding a grudge against someone, yeah, as they say, think again. And I don't say that to deprive you of your certainly very well-earned grudges. Many of us have them. Many of us really have been abused, betrayed, harmed, cheated. I mean, things have happened that shouldn't have happened. Things have happened that are morally wrong, ethically wrong, spiritually wrong, even in some cases legally wrong. But in order to be free, we have to let them go from our minds. It doesn't mean we condone. It doesn't mean that we are absolving them. All it means is that we are letting go of our end of the karmic cord. We are saying, I no longer want to be bound to another person's ignorance, anger, fear, karmic package. And as long as I hold a grudge, I am bound. So as I stood in Ganga letting go of anger and pain about that which I had been through, which was morally wrong and ethically wrong and legally wrong and all of these things, in addition to that, something very powerful happened. And then it continued to happen over the next few years, which was a letting go of the story. Not just the anger, but the identification as that is who I am. Because a lot of us move through the world with an identification based on where we've been, what's happened to us, the good and the bad. The bad stuff tends to be somewhat stronger and stickier than the good stuff, but we also hold on to the good stuff. Here's what I achieved. Here's what I attained. Here's how much money's in my bank account. Here's, whatever it may be. And we have that as our identification. And that keeps us stuck. It keeps us stuck in that ignorance. It keeps us stuck in the suffering. And whether the suffering manifests in each moment as a grudge or resentment or jealousy or desire or aversion or all of the different faces of suffering. It all arises from that illusion, which is why in spirituality we are taught that jnana, wisdom, is the antidote to the suffering. There's a beautiful story of King Janak, who was a beautiful king, father of Sita, in fact. And there's a beautiful story of him having a dream. And in the dream, he has nothing. He's a beggar. It's a long story. I won't go into all of the details, but imagine this amazing king lying in a kingly bed in a mansion, in a castle, with all of the beautiful and full accessories that go with being a king, the servants, the staff, the security, the comforts, the luxury. And he has a dream, and in the dream, he's lost it all. There's been a war, he's lost the kingdom. He's now a beggar on the street. He has nothing. He's kicked out of the kingdom. He wanders on the road, hungry, thirsty, tired. Nobody will feed him. Nobody will give him water. Nobody will give him shelter. And he's suffering greatly. And when he finally wakes up, he has this thought of, oh my God, that seemed so real. My heart was pounding and thumping. I could feel the hunger in my belly. I could feel the thirst in my mouth and my throat and my lips. I could feel the anguish. And now here, this feels so real. I can hear the bells. I can look out my window and see the towers of my kingdom. Which is real? Is that real or is this real? Which is real? And he proceeds to be quite deeply touched by this question, which is real? And eventually, after asking so many wise people and not getting a satisfactory answer, he finally asks Ashtavakra. And we end up with the Ashtavakra Gita, which is another story. But the bottom line that this beautiful sage gives to him is, you are real. Neither that is real nor this is real. It's not an either or question. When you were hungry on the street, who knew that you were hungry? Who was aware of the hunger? Who was aware of the thirst? Who was aware of the fear? And King Janak said, I was. It was me. My mouth, my lips, my mind, afraid, hungry, thirsty, worried. And Ashtavakra said, and as you sit on your throne, who is aware that you are the king? And he says, well, I am. I feel the cushions, see my subjects, feel the cool breeze of the people who are fanning me. And Ashtavakra says, that which is true cannot come and go. That which is real cannot come and go. The only thing that is consistent between these two situations is you. You are real. Neither is this real nor is that real. Because they're both changing. When you woke up from your dream, you were no longer the beggar on the street. The hunger wasn't real. The thirst wasn't real. The fear wasn't real. And when you wake up from the dream of thinking you are king, this also won't be real. But you, that awareness, that divinity, that consciousness, whatever word we use, it doesn't matter. But that in us which doesn't change, that is real. And that's where the freedom arises. If I am only free when I'm anchored in the awareness of me as king on my throne, with my subjects in place, with my staff in place, then it's a very tenuous freedom. Whether the freedom gets disrupted by a nightmare, or whether it gets disrupted by actually a stronger army of the neighboring kingdom that actually comes in and takes over my kingdom. Whether it gets disrupted by illness, in which I no longer can rule. Whether it gets disrupted by my children who decide to overthrow me. Subjects with a coup, whatever it may be. But it's a very tenuous freedom, and freedom is not tenuous. Freedom is always there. So the only thing that is real is you. And that is where we practice this letting go, letting go, letting go. Okay. So I've just given you the highest, truest kind of end point. That's where we're going. Not this, only you. Now we step back. I've given you the highest, deepest, truest truth. But we'll walk there now. Because for a lot of us, it sounds like, well, that sounds great, and my mother-in-law, and my boss, and the traffic, and this, and that. Okay. So one of the things that afflicts us, and we're going to talk throughout today and tomorrow about different things that feel like they steal our peace. And one of the most common ones is negative thoughts. Interestingly, positive thoughts do as well, in that they are only situationally dependent. But the negative ones seem to steal them much more strongly. It's much harder to feel truth and freedom in the midst of negativity. And yet, it's so common. Our mind's natural way of being is negative. And as I always remind people when we have this discussion, do not feel badly about it, because it is actually evolutionarily advantageous. We are the descendants of those who worried. If you think back hundreds of years, thousands of years, go back throughout our evolution. You think back to us as different species along the evolutionary ladder. As threats arose, the ones who said, oh my God, that pounding on the earth might be a herd of wild elephants. We should get away, or we should get out our bows and arrows, or we should climb trees, or we should do whatever we did in that particular species at that time. Those are the ones who survived to make babies. The ones who said, I'm sure it's nothing. Let's finish our tea. Chances are they didn't survive long enough to make very many babies. So we are the descendants of those who worried. We are the descendants of those who, when they saw a dark shape on the horizon, thought, that's probably a threat. And they figured out what they were going to do when that threat got closer, rather than waiting until it was so close that they had no ability to do anything. So understand that the fact that your mind defaults to seeing others in a negative light, to seeing situations in a negative light, to being pessimistic, to being judgmental, is evolutionarily advantageous. Now, it's advantageous insofar as our highest goal is just survival of the body. But we're here looking for something much deeper. Now we have, as technology has advanced, as our civilizations have advanced, ways of dealing with those dark spots on the horizon that are getting closer. We don't need to be activated in our sympathetic nervous system and our fight or flight response for anything and everything. And yet we are. Someone steals a parking spot. Someone cuts us off on the freeway. Someone looks at us the wrong way, speaks to us the wrong way, does something that we interpret the wrong way. And immediately, we react. So we realize, first of all, negativity is that which we have evolved to have. It was good for the survival of the species. It is not good for the awakening and enlightenment and moksha and freedom. So we need to let it go. It doesn't mean we become stupid. It doesn't mean that we ignore real threats. But it means that we learn to recognize that protection of the ego self, protection of my way of thinking, is not the same as protection of my physical body. That sympathetic nervous system reaction that we have evolved to have with real threats is not helpful. when I have that reaction to people around me, to my day-to-day life, to my neighbor, to my friends, to my colleagues, to people in our society, to the world around me. All it does is it keeps us stuck. The negativity begins tragically in our own minds. We project out that which we are growing inside, brewing inside, manufacturing inside. Watch your thoughts to yourself, because that's where we need to heal it first. And it's amazing because, if you had a roommate, a housemate, who spoke to you the way that most of our minds speak to us, we would have moved out, evicted them, killed ourselves, done something a long time ago. There is no way we would tolerate another being to speak to us the way we speak to ourselves. And with no respite. I mean, imagine that the person who has been the worst to you in your life, whether it was a parent, whether it was a sibling, whether it was a spouse, whether it was whoever it may have been, imagine that that person followed you into the bathroom when you sat on the toilet, followed you into the shower, followed you into your bed 24/7, nonstop. You're underwater, you're above water, you're wherever you may be. That person is there telling you how awful you are. We'd literally kill them, kill ourselves, run away, do whatever we could do to stop that voice. And yet, that's how most of our voices are within our own heads. And not only do we permit it, but we believe it. We move through the world believing it. We allow it to abuse us. And then we allow it to become our truth. We read something that tells us something different. We hear a spiritual teacher tell us something different. We have a beautiful moment of experiencing maybe something different. And then we say, oh, no, can't be, because I know that that doesn't pertain to me. Because actually I am worthless, impure, too much this, not enough that. From that negativity, then arises the judgment in the world. Judgment in the world is a defense mechanism. It's a way to keep us from wallowing in the negativity within our own minds. It's literally like food poisoning. I'm going to throw up all over you. I've eaten something bad, I'm sick inside, get too close to me, and I'm going to throw up on you. The sickness is in me. Yeah, that doesn't sound fun at all, does it? But it's what we do. In the same way that emotional, psychological, mental illness is in us, but we take it out on those around us. Now, so what to do? A few tools, simple tools. Number 1, gratitude. Gratitude is the antidote to negativity. Where there is gratitude, negativity cannot exist. Just be grateful. Whether you keep a gratitude journal, whether you make gratitude lists. I know for me, literally, every morning before I even get out of bed, I do my gratitude list. Every morning. Before I get out of bed. The moment I am aware that I am awake, my mind immediately, now it's become a habit. Thank you, God, for. Thank you, God, for. It becomes just an automatic thing in bed. Thank you for. Gratitude. And then practice it as much as you can throughout the day. Have things that anchor you into remembrance. Because if our natural default is negativity, chances are you're only going to remember the gratitude then at the end of the day in your meditation. You'll realize, oh my God, I forgot all day long again. Anchor remembrance before you eat, before you drink. Things we do a lot. Just, before you pick up a glass of water. So you're about to drink. Just thank you. Thank you for the fact that my arm works to lift it. Thank you for the fact that I actually have access to clean water. Thank you for the fact that I am here and aware that I am thirsty. Thank you for the amazing blessing that someone has actually brought me a glass of water. I mean, I could go on and on for just a glass of water. And it literally, by the way, can be just thank you. It doesn't even have to be for this or for that, but just become grateful. And allow that to become your default mechanism. On a neurological level, one of my favorite science trivia pieces is that the virus that causes the common cold flu binds to the same receptor site on our cells as a neurotransmitter called norepinephrine, which was released during a whole bunch of different experiences. But one of the experiences that causes us to release norepinephrine is great joy, great bliss, like ecstatic joy. Imagine that you're singing kirtan. Imagine that you are in a state of divine union. Imagine that you are filled with gratitude. That's going to flood the brain with norepinephrine. Okay. So now imagine that your receptor sites are filled with this neurotransmitter. Now imagine that you're sitting in a room and someone who's sick coughs or sneezes. And all of those virus particles now go into the air. You breathe them in. They come in you. But there's nowhere for them to bind in order for a molecule to impact us. It actually has to enter our cells. But if all of the receptor sites are already filled with norepinephrine, there's nowhere for it to bind, which is why our emotional state is such a powerful indicator of our physical or a powerful impactor of our physical immunity. It's why during COVID, for example, on a spiritual level, so many people were talking about spiritual immunity, spiritual practices, because quite literally, it boosts your immunity. How? Well, this is one of the ways, just one. But I mention it because that's on a molecular level what gratitude does on a level of attention. Our minds can actually only be aware of one thing at a time. And if what I'm aware of is gratitude, then I'm not going to simultaneously be able to have space for judgment and negativity. So gratitude. Number 2, have periodic judgment negativity detoxes. Doesn't mean you're never going to have a negative thought again. Sometimes it's important. Sometimes it's important to acknowledge things that are negative. Things are happening in our world today, in various political systems, in our environment, in countries around the world. There are things that are happening that we need to be aware of that are negative, that need us to act and serve and change. But give yourself a detox every once in a while. An hour, 2 hours, half a day, in which you literally decide you are not going to have a negative thought at all. It's like fasting. It's not that food is bad. It's not that you're never going to eat again. But on a spiritual level, you say, for this 1 hour period, any negative thought that enters my mind for any reason, I am not going to permit that thought. I'm going to use a mantra, a breath, a gratitude practice, a prayer, whatever it is that works for you. But in the same way that when I am fasting, and my mind reaches for a sandwich, immediately it says, oh, no, 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 I'm fasting. And I say to do that just simply to train yourself to know that you actually can survive without having negative thoughts. That there is actually a possibility of a period of time in which the mind doesn't become negative. And just see how it feels. See how it feels. Lastly, there's more, but just to move on, because I want to get through another aspect and then open it up for questions. Lastly, for the freedom from the negativity, another tool. So we have gratitude, we have negativity detox. Another tool is think of it as a positivity tsunami or a positivity storm, where take a few moments, 5 minutes in your morning, 5 minutes in your evening, 10 minutes in the middle of your day, and just move through your world being positive about everything. Oh my God, what a beautiful cup. Oh my God, this is so beautiful. Look at the artwork on this cup. Look at how beautifully it was made. I mean, somebody sat at a potter's wheel and made such a beautiful, beautiful cup. Wow, how beautiful you all are. Look at you, you're here. Look at how beautiful every one of you is. Look at the sunshine. Just a practice, 5 minutes, 10 minutes. And just turn your head, noticing everything. What an image. The speaker, my God, this technology. It enables you to hear me without me shouting. And these are simply ways of training the brain. It's all we're doing. Remember, I began by quoting that teaching from the church garden, watch your thoughts and you'll see the future. It's just a way of training the brain. I always say, think of the mind as a muscle. Biochemically, it is not, but it functions like it. What you do with your muscles is what your muscles can do. If you lift things, well, when you get to the airport and you need to lift up your suitcase, you'll be able to. If you don't ever lift anything, when you get to the airport, you'll discover, you can't lift your bag, or if you do, it hurts your back. It's building muscles. It's very simple. Use the mind as a muscle. Train it to notice goodness. Train it to be appreciative. Train it to be grateful. And what you'll see is that becomes its default mechanism. And it can feel really, really forced at the beginning. It can feel sappy. But over time, it becomes beautiful. One of my dearest, most beloved friends, mentors, Dr. Bruce Lipton, whom many of you either know personally or know of him, is the best embodiment of walking gratitude of anyone I've ever met. When you see him, and it almost feels uncomfortable if you're not used to it. I remember the first time when I was with him, he's just like, oh, I am so grateful for you and this, and you are this, and you are that. And you almost feel, if you're not trained, you almost feel like, stop. Because it's so not the way that our minds are used to going. It's like the first day of working out with a trainer at the gym. You know, the muscles are like, oh, God, no. And then slowly, you realize, wow, this is a way that I could live. And it's how he moves through the world. I've watched him with everyone. And he is just this emoting, oozing, effusive being of gratitude. It's how he moves through the world. And at 80 plus, he's one of the healthiest people I know, still traveling an extraordinary number of days a year. So even if it feels sappy, try it. It's going to train your brain to function differently. And it's going to free you from that evolutionarily, formerly advantageous, but now very detrimental negativity bias. Okay. Now, quickly through the freedom from the stories we tell ourselves, the ego, the identification. And this goes back to King Janak's dream. One of the ways that in the Vedantic teachings, the true self is taught about, a very simple analogy, simple metaphor, is the metaphor of the dream. When you dream, it all seems real. Imagine you close your eyes, and you don't even have to be in REM sleep. I mean, you can close your eyes and do it now. Like, just close your eyes and picture driving to the airport here in Nassau, getting on a plane, being given a glass of water, fastening your seatbelt, plane goes up, plane lands in Paris. You get down in Paris, collect your bags, get into a taxi, get down at some beautiful cafe on the Champs-Élysées. You're looking out over the river. Beautiful vegan cappuccino is put in front of you. You sip it. You say merci to whoever brought it to you. Okay. Now open your eyes. Where'd it go? Right? Now, it's a very simple and even simplistic example, but it's really powerful. We see it, we're there. When you're actually dreaming, it even feels more real. Maybe there's turbulence in the plane, maybe you get scared. We have nightmares. But all that exists is you in your bed. Plane doesn't exist. I mean, it exists in theory, but it doesn't exist with you on it. Champs-Élysées exists, but not with you sitting on it. That cappuccino is a figment of your imagination. I mean, maybe it's in someone else's hand, but it's not in yours. 100% of the entire experience was literally existing only in you. In the same way, all of this, the stories that we tell ourselves, on the deepest, highest level, are existing in us. Now, that's a lot to wrap your brain around. And there's a lot of questions and philosophical debates, and we won't go into all of that, but it's powerful to hold it as just a remembrance. Whenever you feel in the throes of something that is happening, a storm, a turmoil, a drama, to just remember that on the highest, deepest, truest level, it is all happening in you, and that you have the ability, and this is what our meditation practice gives us, is the ability to step into the one who is dreaming, into the one who is creating this reality experience. And it gives us that even momentary experience of, oh yeah, I'm not the one sitting in the taxi cab on the way to the coffee shop. I'm the one lying in bed dreaming. Or I'm the one sitting here in the chair or on the floor imagining it. And just that bit is enough to free us of the stuckness of that moment. And that power of asking yourself, I mentioned last night, I'm a big fan of questions. Otherwise, it's just so easy to berate ourselves. You got lost again. You're ignorant. You're stupid. You can't do this. And instead, just ask a simple question. Who's aware? Who's aware that I got lost again? Who's aware that I got stuck again? Who's aware that I slipped into delusion? Who is that? And just the question itself is enough to pull you out. Just ask it. The moment you start answering it, you get into the intellectual mind, and then you're typically just reciting something you've heard or read, and it pulls you out of the momentary experience. But just the question takes you into that felt sense awareness. Who's aware? Who's aware that you're sitting here now? Who's aware that you're listening? Who's aware? Another technique is to notice when you're stuck in a role or a story. It's just to notice how many different stories and roles you have, because the one that I'm stuck in always seems to be the story, the real one. And just notice how many different roles we play. We are the child to our parents. We're the parent to our children if we have them. The spouse to a spouse. The friend to a friend. The student to a teacher. The teacher to a student. The employer to an employee. The employee to an employer. The giver to the receiver to the giver. We play so many roles throughout the course of any given day, let alone our lives. And just notice it. Again, it's just about noticing. Notice how during the day I wear so many costumes. I play so many roles based on who I'm interacting with. Just as you move through your day. And just in the noticing of it pulls us out of the stuckness in that one role. Try on a different role for a moment. Just give yourself a different role. What if I just become the gardener for a moment? What if I just walk into the garden and spend a moment smelling, touching, noticing? It just shifts roles. What if for a moment I walk into the kitchen and help washing some dishes? Then just for a moment I am a dishwasher. Different role. And as you realize the ease and the fluidity with which I take on different roles, it alleviates the stickiness of the role in which I feel stuck in that moment. So these are different ways in. One way in is to realize I am not the role at all. I am the one who is aware. Another way in is just play a different role. You don't like that costume? Take it off. Put on a different one. Like kids. This costume for a moment, then they take it off. Another costume. Imagine that you are the sole actor or actress in the drama of your life. You play every role. You play the hero, you play the villain, you play the big role, you play the small role. Put on a different costume for a moment. Another technique I love is that technique that we began with in meditation of niti niti. But throughout the day, not just in the meditation, as you move through your day, as the mind says, you are worthless, stupid, irresponsible, lazy, brilliant, the best, the only one in this room with a brain. Whatever story you're telling yourself, just allow the awareness to go, neti neti. I am not this. Not this. Someone says to you, you are this. The good, the bad, the ugly, whatever it is they're projecting onto you. Neti neti. Not this. I am not someone's projection. Neither my own nor someone else's. Neti neti. I am the one who is aware. And lastly, just keep coming back to that true story of Aham Brahmasmi. I am the supreme reality. I am the screen upon which all of the movies are being shown. At 8 a.m., it's this movie. 10 a.m., it's that movie. The matinee is something different. The afternoon show is something different. Midnight, we have the Rocky Horror Picture Show. Whatever it is. But the screen doesn't change. I am the screen. You walk out through the garden, a bird poops on you. You're not poop. You're just the one who got pooped on. You go, you wash your face, end of poop. But you don't suddenly start feeling poopy, right? See, even he realizes it. You don't feel poopy just because the bird poops on you. You realize, that was just a bird. It pooped on me. I am still me. Albeit with the need of a shower, but just me. In the same way, I have that moment of anger, of fear, of identification, of attachment. And just think of it like bird poop. It's not a big story. It's not a big drama. It's just there for a moment. Ah, yes, bird poop. Okay. I go wash it off. But instead of needing a physical shower or a physical sink, we just needed a spiritual one. We chant the mantra, we meditate, we re-remember. We do some breathing exercises. We do seva. We do something that purifies our mind, our thoughts. And it just brings us back. Like the sky is unchanged by the clouds. You get in an airplane, you go up above the clouds. The sky never says, oh, today is a cloudy day. The sky has no idea. Clouds pass, it's totally irrelevant to the sky. It's happening in the sky insofar as what we see, but it's not impacting the sky. So again, choose your metaphor, the screen, the sky, the dream. And just keep remembering, I am not that, neti neti. Not the movie that is being shown upon my screen, not the cloud upon the sky, not the bird poop on my cheek. And slowly, 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 we develop a different way of identifying, a different way of living. So we have about 10 minutes left. And I want to open it up for any questions that anyone has, either about this particular sharing or about anything in particular. There's no wrong questions, as I said last night. Yes. Just the man with the mic. Yes.
Who has the question? Who has the question?
I don't know. We'll see.
Oh, I thought somebody did. Sorry.
Well, I'm sure someone does. The question is whether. Yes.
Is that, yeah, okay. I think you kind of talked about this last night.
Can you hold it? Oh,
yeah.
there we go.
Okay.
Yes.
Maybe you talked about this last night, or maybe I just read it in your book recently, but you talk about how like the feelings of anger and resentment and all of that, it's like our way, or it's the way of the mind kind of making us separate from ourselves. And then today you're talking about how that's like evolutionary, or how maybe those aren't connected, but how evolutionary the fear that we feel is to help us survive. And I know in my own experience, I feel like anger and resentment and all of those feelings feel almost protective, even though it's making me feel separate from divinity. So I don't know if you could explain that a little more, or if
Yeah,
that kind
sure.
of is the right path, or if I'm just kind of making that fit my story.
No, it's beautiful. It just depends what the highest goal is. If the highest goal is survival of my physical body, then by all means be negative. Be suspicious, be judgmental. Absolutely. You are the one, therefore, most likely to survive should that shadow on the horizon actually turn out to be a masked bandit with a machine gun who's coming into our satsang, rather than somebody coming in to bring prasad or water. If the highest goal is that survival of the body, yeah, negativity, skepticism, anxiety, that stress response is in many ways a great thing. Now, on a side level, that's not 100% true anymore, because we're now living in such a state of sympathetic nervous system overload that many, many illnesses are actually being caused by too much stress. So no longer 100% true, but for the sake of discussion for a moment, if your highest goal is simply protection of the physical body, be negative, be judgmental, be wary, hold everyone at an arm's length, don't trust anyone, you are then the least likely to ever be hurt, betrayed. But you're going to miss the entire point of life. And you may end up with a disease that has been caused by or exacerbated by stress, loneliness, isolation, depression, fear. Remember that the ancestors from whom we evolved had much shorter lifespans for a variety of reasons. They weren't necessarily living long enough to develop diseases due to sympathetic nervous system overload. But on a deeper level, your life goal is not just that, right? As it said so beautifully, the whole point is not just the number of days in your life, but the amount of life in your days. We are here not just to protect the physical body at all costs for as many days as we can. We're here to live, to experience love and joy and truth and expansion, awakening. That's why we're here. And that separation, that negativity is preventing you from experiencing it. Yeah, it's protective. As anyone who's ever had their heart broken and vowed to never love or trust again knows, it's safe. And it's very lonely. And it keeps you safe from being hurt. But it also prevents you from experiencing that which we are here to experience, which is connection. Because as long as I feel like the world is a threat, then I cannot open myself up to the presence of the divine in that world. And so you need to make a real, clear, conscious choice about what is my highest goal. Protection, yeah, be negative. Expansion, awakening, connection, joy, love, meaning, fulfillment. You got to let go. You got to trust. Yeah. Other questions? Yes.
Kind of a tool. Real life situations come up, and I've been reading your books, and I'm trying to embrace and live my life as best I can. And just the example, when we were coming here at the airport, they changed their system, and we didn't know the system, and we kept being yelled at. And to the point where she looked at our tag and said, you know, even though we'd done what they said. And I actually found myself thinking, I wonder how Sadhviji would handle this. Because you want to be compassionate, and yet there's all this stimuli going on, and you have that moment between the stimulus and response, but how do you get it together?
Yeah, beautiful. And so important, because the world that we're moving through, sadly, is more and more like that. I notice it more and more every time I come back to the West. People are more and more on edge. They are more and more angry, more and more likely to yell at you. And yeah, it provokes us. The first thing it provokes is this self-protective, like, oh my God, I didn't do anything wrong. Who are you to invade my emotional space like this? It triggers us. As my guru says, we get triggered and become tigers. The key for me is I pretty much move through the world with a default mechanism. And it takes a while to develop this, and I am far from perfect at it, but it is my intention and my practice to move through the world in a default mechanism of remembering at every moment that everyone else is simply in the midst of their karmic journey. And to see people walking their karmic journey. And to recognize and realize that every one of them is doing the best they can at that intersection of that karmic journey that they are on. But to recognize and realize simultaneously that none of our dharma on earth is to be a pawn in someone else's karmic journey package drama. Because people will try to use you as pawns in their drama. I'm going through a moment of my karmic journey where I've got anger coming up and I don't want to look at it. So I'm going to take it out on people around me. And I'm going to use you and you and you as pawns, because if I can get angry at you and then trigger you to get angry back at me, then I've got such a great excuse to be angry at you again. Right? And then I don't have to look at myself and say, what is going on here? Wow, that's so interesting. Because then, of course, I'm angry because, oh my God, this person was so obnoxious to me.
And you don't want to.
Of course. Yeah, I mean, I was so peaceful, and then you shouted at me. Like, what else could I do? Move through the world with the awareness that everyone else is just walking their karmic journey. Have an awareness of it, an appreciation of it, notice it, have compassion for it. Share as much energetic love and peace as you can. Exude it as much as you can energetically. But recognize that your role is not to get wrapped up in it. I think about it sometimes as an example of walking through a park and getting bit by a rabid dog, right? It hurts. You may need to go to the hospital and get the wound bandaged. But you're not going to need therapy to deal with the, oh my God, I got bit by a mad dog, and how dare he, and I was, I've always been a dog lover, and I'm a vegan and an animal rights activist, and how dare the dog, like I'm such a good person. Because we understand the dog is sick, it has rabies, that's why it bit me. It wasn't intending to harm me in some aspect of its planned mind. I just happened to be walking through the wrong part of the park at the wrong time and it bit me. And as we notice that other people are in various states of dis-ease, mental, emotional, psychological, spiritual, physical even, we notice how they are reacting and acting in that state of dis-ease. We protect ourselves because you don't want to keep getting bitten. Just because you're on a spiritual path doesn't mean you become dog food, literally, metaphorically, right? I mean, spirituality does not make us a doormat. It doesn't mean let the world just walk all over you. But it also means that I don't become that tiger, that I'm able to recognize it, notice it, but I have the capacity to not be triggered by it. And that's the way. Is, you notice somebody's yelling at you, and the first thing you do is come back to your compassionate heart. Oh my God, imagine what it is like inside that person right now. If you go back to my example of the food poisoning and the vomiting, it's not fun to get vomited on, but you can wash that off. The person who is sick is in much worse shape than you who just got vomited on are. You can change your clothes. You're not actually sick. You just need a shower. They're actually sick. They've got pain in the stomach. They've got a whole illness that's going on inside them, due to which it came out onto you. If I've got a flu and I sneeze on you, I cough on you, well, you got a tiny bit of the illness that is going on inside of me. If somebody shouts at you, that is the metaphoric equivalent of getting vomited on, coughed on, sneezed on by someone who is generating illness within them. Pain, anger, fear, separation, judgment. And you just got the byproduct. It oozed out over them onto you. But try to feel compassion for what it must be like inside of them. Like you would feel badly for the rabid dog, even though where they bit you hurt. You wouldn't hate the dog. You'd feel a compassion for the dog that was sick. So try to find that as much as you can. And the breath is such a powerful, powerful ally here. Just keep anchoring in the breath, anchor in your mantra. Anchor in love, anchor in compassion, and it just keeps recentering you, recentering you, recentering you. And then cognitively, just keep reminding yourself, I'm not a pawn in someone else's drama. I've got too much else to do. Yeah, beautiful. Have a beautiful rest of your afternoons. And we'll see you all in the evening satsang. A quick announcement. Tomorrow, after the workshop, so right at this time tomorrow, I'll be signing books over in the boutique, wherever they have the books. we've been asked to announce it today and tonight so that everybody knows for tomorrow. I'll be there. I'll go there just after the workshop tomorrow afternoon for anyone who wants to come and get a book signed and just have a moment. Beautiful. Enjoy the beautiful, beautiful, beautiful day.